I'm Eleanor Holmes. I write under the pen name Eliot North. I'm from the northeast of England, Newcastle area in the UK, and I'm a doctor, a general practitioner in the UK, and I'm a writer as well. I actually heard about this through Facebook. A writer who I know sort of pointed it out to me and said you might be interested in applying to this. And then I looked up specifically the Scientific Delirium Madness month, and I hadn't heard of Djerassi before. And I looked at it and I thought, wow, this seems too good to be true. And it's exactly the kind of things that I was already doing in the UK. So I'm also a teacher, so I was teaching medical students at Newcastle University, teaching person-centred, patient-centred medicine, but also developing links across the university, doing lots of collaborative work with English School, Newcastle Centre for Literary Arts. It was actually someone from Newcastle Centre for Literary Arts, author called Helen Lyman, who pointed out the Facebook post. And there's a lot of work that I'd done in terms of trying to bring literature and poetry and the arts, creative arts more broadly, and humanities into medical school, using people's, bringing people in, their expertise, and trying to kind of really, basically medicine's an art. Practice of medicine is an art. I defy anyone to say it differently. And it's underpinned by science, of course. Medical sciences are important, but the practice of medicine is an art, and I believe that we should be embracing the arts and humanities much more than we traditionally have done or do. I think in America that there's a much more there's bigger willingness to sort of explore that side of medicine, because it's really about what it means to be human. That's why I'm a doctor. That's what I'm interested in, and the medical sciences underpins, of course, diagnostics and those sort of aspects, but everything else is an art. The practice of medicine is an art in terms of how you communicate with people. Human beings are messy. Nothing is black and white. Everything is grey. So, yeah, I think this whole concept of bringing people together from lots of different disciplines appealed to me because I was doing that kind of thing already, or wanting to do more of that kind of thing. And also the time and a whole month of not having to be a doctor was very appealing. Well, I think basically what I realised is that I've always had a need to create, and I didn't always write. It was the visual arts, drawing, painting. Well, ever since a child I've been doing those things, and they've been important to me. I could have quite easily gone down a very different route to medicine. I probably went to medical school because my father suggested it, and we talked a lot about life, the world, everything, what it means to be human, etc. And I thought, oh, well, okay, I might do medicine then. And part of me was a bit disappointed that my school didn't let me do art as well as biology, as well as English before I went to medical school, but that's changing a little bit. But I ended up doing biology, chemistry, maths with Latin literature for my A-levels. But yeah, I was always creating in the background and doing visual arts, printmaking, and then I changed to writing when I was 30. I'm 38 now, as a way of expressing myself and coping and remaining sane, all of those things. Without it, I wouldn't have survived medicine, probably. But then again, probably in anything I did in life, I would have to create or be involved in some kind of creative process, I guess. And yeah, writing. A friend of mine died when I was 30 of leukemia, and that was a hugely impactful time in my life. I don't know why writing. I don't know. I just suddenly thought I need to write. I want to write a novel, was what I started out doing when I was that age. And I told everyone I want to write a novel, that's what I'm doing. And it was practice, really. I think that I did finish it, but it was not good writing, it was practice. And then I sort of thought, I should really learn the craft of this more, and I went on various courses and did a postgrad certificate in creative writing at Newcastle, went on several Arbonne courses, went on lots of creative writing workshops, started meeting other writers, which is the only way to learn really, as well as reading. So it's all come out of that really, and a need to express and create, and as a means of being me. And I think the visual arts, I could never kind of realise what was in my head the way I wanted it to, the way I could see it in my head. Whereas writing, I found, I think, was more a better fit for me to express myself or what was going on in my head. And it was easier to fit around medicine. So you just need a computer or pen and paper rather than a massive studio or anything like this. But I'm at a point in my life now, this whole month has been hugely pivotal. I've had to change in my life personally, that this has come right in the middle of a major change, and I really think I need to honour or put more energy and time into writing and being a writer. And medicine may take a back seat for a while I work that out. And yeah, being here has helped me realise that, basically. While my time here and everyone here, the place and the people, I came here specifically wanting to write about the place and the people, because it was such a unique opportunity to, when do you ever get an opportunity like this, especially as a doctor working in the NHS, a month to write. So the people here, everything is an influence on my writing. I've written a whole pamphlet of poetry already, several essays, a short story, and it's all based on the people and the place. By the place, I mean the ranch, nature around me, everything that I see and hear. But the people, I'm really interested in everyone's discipline and work, and explain to me, what do you do, how do you do that, what are you exploring, what are you doing now? And those things are important, but it's actually more that we talked about before, about the side conversations that you have, washing up, cooking, just sharing a space with people who, it's a relief to meet people who kind of get it, who are of the same mould as you, i.e. they're not bound in one discipline. So I think some of my medical colleagues and friends sometimes sort of don't get it. A lot of the time don't get it, what I'm trying to do or achieve, or the need I have to write, to create. And it's so refreshing to meet people from every kind, from astrophysics to biology to chemistry, but people who physics, maths, and then across the arts in every way, and everyone mixing it up and having fun with it, basically. So there's so many moments. I will be writing about it for a long time. Moments that have... the thing that struck me is there's a lot of people who are coming to me having written poetry. And I guess I came here as a writer of prose and poetry, but it seems that poetry is the thing that I'm writing the most here. And people who aren't writers, in inverted commas, or would sort of say that they were poets or wrote poems, are coming to me with their poems and saying, Eleanor, I wrote this poem. Can you help me? Can you listen to it? Can you give me some advice? And that's happened today with Dasha. I think she read one of the poems that she's just written that I was sort of getting her to speak it to me aloud, and looking at that earlier, and that was just fantastic. And that's happened with Barbara, that's happened with Dasha, that's happened with Hideo, and who else has been giving me poetry? But Anya as well. So yeah, today though, Dasha showed me that. I thought of her work and choreography and thought of the poem I Sing My Body Electric by Walt Whitman, and I said, you need to read this poem. It's so about everything that you're exploring, about body and selfhood and everything just speaks to me in this poem about what you're doing. And then she read her poem to me, we went through that, and I read her the Walt Whitman poem, and then I went back to my pod, and I've just written a whole 2 poems just straight afterwards in an hour before I've had this interview. So that's just one example of how this works. I see Hideo stringing up boulders with a handmade net and playing Amy Goes, oh, this is a perfect example of heavy and light from her architecture point of view. And I write a poem called Heavy and Light that speaks to that particular installation, sculpture, those words that someone else spoke here, but also I'm thinking of the way Dasha and Anya hold their bodies and pivot on their heels and their toes and play with gravity, and all the work that they're doing with Seba, and it just all goes round. So many examples. And I'm sure there'll be many more. Next, I will be returning to the UK and handing my notice in. You heard it here first. I feel the need to change and shake everything up. I think I came out here thinking I was going to do that, and now I'm definitely going to do that. That's not so much about being a doctor or not wanting to be a doctor. It's about not wanting to work in the particular system I'm working in at the moment in the UK that doesn't allow me to be the kind of doctor that I want to be, or give me enough time and space for that. So I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to probably locum as a doctor to earn money, but I'm going to go and live in Spain, just south of Valencia, with my new partner, and who is an editor, and we are going to just explore stuff, and I'm going to write and see what happens, really. I want to sort of go off in a direction around teaching and looking at creative writing, more already doing a lot of collaborative work with poets and other writers and nurses and other healthcare professionals to think about how we look at not just physician or doctor well-being, but healthcare professional well-being, and using creative methodologies, particularly creative writing methods, to foster self-care, self-love, well-being. That kind of thing is probably where I'm going in future, I hope. So watch this space. I may well be in touch, trying to work out how this goes. And I'm already talking to Barbara earlier, what medical schools have you got in Washington and near your gallery, and might we be able to work something up? And I could see that working across everybody here if they wanted to sort of get involved in things like that. And so yeah, the future is exciting, I would say, and this has been a really pivotal time for me to realise that I can do it and I can cut loose and it's going to be okay.